What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, April 11th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 14:16 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East and from Eastern Europe. So it looks like Iran is going to strike Israel any day now, any hour now. We have nuclear attack options, also known as emergency action messages, being broadcasted like crazy today and also yesterday. Yesterday, there were over 60 emergency action messages or nuclear attack options broadcasted. And today, already over 40 nuclear attack options being broadcasted. Now, these nuclear attack options are broadcasted by the Pentagon in the United States, and they're transmitted to U.S. nuclear forces, and they give the nuclear forces targeting information. If something were to escalate, the nuclear forces have the targets they need, the attack options they need to immediately strike. Okay. And so yesterday, over 60 nuclear attack options broadcasted. Today, over 40. And it's only 1400 hours here in the eastern US. We still have a lot more time left in the day. So we could end up breaking a record for the number of nuclear attack options broadcasted in a single 24-hour period. Now, when Prigozhin led his rebellion against Putin last year, there were about 60 emergency action messages broadcasted in a 24-hour period when that whole thing started. So we're basically beyond the Prigozhin level. Okay, just to give you an idea of how serious this is. Last night we had 3 nuclear war command and control planes that were lingering in the Atlantic and in the Pacific. And those nuclear war command and control planes were broadcasting these nuclear attack options to our submerged nuclear armed submarines all night long. I was listening to these nuclear attack options coming in basically every 5 minutes, back to back, nonstop. So this is very, very serious, guys. We also have some news coming in from a U.S. official saying that over the past few days, we have monitored Iranian military movements linked to a possible attack on Israel. Indicators show that Iran is preparing to attack Israel soon. Okay, that's a U.S. official to Al Jazeera saying indicators show that Iran is preparing to attack Israel soon. And you remember that NOTAM I shared with you guys a few days ago about the rocket launches that were going to take place just east of Tehran? Well, what's interesting is that NOTAM has since disappeared from the Tehran FIR, Flight Information Region. Okay, it's not here anymore, and that NOTAM was supposed to be valid through tomorrow, so it was prematurely canceled, which doesn't make any sense. And in my opinion, they're trying to hide that these rocket launches are going to be taking place. Maybe they found out that people on social media were sharing this and they didn't want people to know. So they canceled it prematurely, but it's gone, as you can see here. So very, very concerning. We also have U.S. nuclear forces on high alert today. And like I said, over 40 emergency action messages or nuclear attack options broadcasted today. We currently have 3 nuclear war command and control planes in the air this afternoon. One is over Idaho, one is over the Ohio Valley, and another one is over the Midwest. We also have a nuke sniffer plane that's active over the Gulf of Mexico, which is pretty interesting. And 2 days ago, we had a nuke sniffer fly along the U.S. West Coast. These planes can detect traces of radiation in the atmosphere. So, guys, our nuclear forces are on high alert. So, you got to get prepared. Okay, this could really go sideways when Iran strikes Israel. Okay, the U.S. has already said they're going to back up Israel. Guys, countless people are mistaking private browsing tabs as a way to stay anonymous online. Even with private browsing mode enabled, you can still be tracked by websites and internet service providers. Also, your data is still at risk if you are using unsecured or public Wi Fi hotspots. That's why I've been protecting my privacy and data with Virtual Shield VPN. I sleep well at night knowing that my data and privacy is not exposed to governments, hackers, and big tech. And if you use the link in the description below this video, which is virtualshield.com/deals/NYPrepper, you can get 70% off and a 60-day risk-free trial. With Virtual Shield's anonymous browsing, a strict no-log policy, unlimited bandwidth, and built-in malware and ad blocking, Virtual Shield also has 24/7 customer support and was built in the USA. So start protecting yourself today. Use the link in the description, which is virtualshield.com/deals/NYPrepper to get 70% off and a 60-day risk-free trial. Yesterday, we had Secretary of State Anthony Blinken confirm that the U.S. will support Israel if Israel is attacked by Iran. So they could strike Iranian nuclear facilities. This could really, really escalate, guys, okay? And back in November, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a resolution stating that the U.S. will not allow Iran to acquire nuclear weapons, and they'll use any means necessary to prevent that from happening, okay? So basically, that's a green light to Biden, and Biden can go ahead and launch a full-scale decapitation strike against the Iranian government and their nuclear facilities and their military, because the Congress here in the U.S. has already allowed him to do that. Okay, it's basically a quiet declaration of war, freeing up Biden so he can use any resources available to him that he needs, okay? And Khan News in Israel is reporting that the Israeli Home Front Command has been approaching municipalities and local and regional councils across Israel, warning them about a possible escalation in the security situation in the coming days, and also telling them where public bomb shelters are located. So this is very serious. And an Israeli journalist with contacts in the Israeli government said that the latest assessment of the situation in Israel indicates that Iran will attack in the coming days. The attack is expected to include dozens of launches in the first phase from Iran, Yemen, and Iraq. Regarding Hezbollah and militias in Syria, a question mark. The air defense is on alert from end to end. The coordination with the Americans is to disrupt an attack at its best. Okay, so very, very serious, guys. Lots of sources coming in saying that this attack is imminent. Okay, journalists, U.S. officials, we have the Home Front Command in Israel telling local governments in Israel to prepare for a security situation in the coming days, escalation. And what you're looking at here is a U.S. presidential Doomsday plane that was airborne this morning. And the presidential Doomsday plane is for the president to command the U.S. nuclear forces and the entire U.S. military during some type of a catastrophic situation. He would stay in the air on this plane and command our military. And this plane took off from Offutt Air Base, which is the home of Stratcom. There's a bunker underneath Offutt Air Base, and it went straight to the D.C. area and then turned around and came back. I don't know if this is a training exercise to come and get the president. I have no idea, but this is very unusual. And also, we had several Russian Doomsday planes head east to Siberia and the Urals late last night. Here you can see a Tupolev 214PU, a Tupolev 204-300, some Antonov 148s, a Tupolev 154B, So something's going on, guys. Russia is evacuating their VIPs to the Ural Mountains and to Siberia, where they have multiple bunkers. My guess is because there's going to be some type of an escalation in the Middle East. And I want to remind you guys that Iran and Russia signed a security pact a few months ago. Nikolai Patrushev, the head of Russia's National Security Council and best friend of Vladimir Putin, he also happens to be the former KGB director, went to Iran a few months back and signed this security pact with Iran. Okay, so it's very possible that Russia could now get involved. And U.S. Central Command Commander General Kurilla arrived in Israel earlier this morning for coordination talks on the preparation for a possible attack by Iran. So our CENTCOM commander arrived in Israel ahead of this attack to coordinate everything with the Israelis. And the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced that it recommends Russian citizens to avoid non-essential flights to the Middle East, with an emphasis on Israel, Lebanon, and the Palestinian territories. Wow. Okay, so Russia telling their people not to fly to the Middle East, and this comes just a day after Lufthansa, the German airline, canceled all its flights to Iran. Okay, we have the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak saying today that the threats from Iran are unacceptable, and we, like the Americans, fully support Israel's right to defend itself against that. The German foreign minister called the Iranian foreign minister to convince Iran to ease tensions in the Middle East. The Iranian foreign minister told her that in legitimate self-defense, punishing Israel is a necessity. Wow. Okay. And also yesterday, a bunch of Middle Eastern countries were begging the Iranian foreign minister not to strike Israel. Okay. We had the foreign minister of Iraq, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. They were all begging him to tell the Ayatollah Khamenei, the leader of Iran, not to strike Israel. Okay, so this is a very, very serious situation. Here we have a screenshot from last night. You can see all these nuclear war command and control planes, and there was also a combat sentinel plane in the air. You could see 1, 2, and 3 nuclear war command and control planes, 2 in the Atlantic, 1 in the Pacific, and they were broadcasting emergency action messages basically nonstop last night. And then we had this combat sentinel plane. There's only 2 of them in the Air Force. They provide high priority reconnaissance information to the U.S. military and to the president, and one of those was airborne at the same time. Here's a closer look. You can see this one E6 Mercury. This thing was up in the air for hours, and it was just looping nonstop, transmitting those nuclear attack options to our submerged nuclear-armed submarines. And these E6 Mercuries can also remotely launch all of our Minuteman III ICBMs if necessary, if ground-based command and control were to get wiped out in a nuclear attack. And here's one from the Atlantic right off the coast of New Jersey. And you can see just crazy amount of loops here. I've never seen anything like this before, guys. And before I continue with the breaking news, I just want to ask you guys to help a subscriber of this channel. We have Veronica, a disabled veteran who needs money to build a wider doorway for her wheelchair in her home. And she just got out of an abusive relationship. She has a 1-year-old and a 13-year-old. She's a mother of 2. So please donate to the GoFundMe here. I'm going to leave a link to the GoFundMe in the description below this video. And also I'm going to pin the link in the comments section. But they need a little bit of money to build wheelchair ramps and to widen doorways so the wheelchair can get through. And the British Embassy in Belarus put out an updated travel warning for Belarus, urging all British citizens not to travel to Belarus because of the risk of the war in Ukraine escalating and spilling over into Belarus. So here you can actually see the web page, and you can see here updated April 11th, okay? And you can see the entire country is under a advise against all travel warning here, and it says Russian military operations are taking place in Belarus. There is some risk that direct conflict linked to the war in Ukraine may spread to Belarus. So what this means is Ukraine and or NATO may attack Belarus, okay? So this is very, very serious. We know that Belarus has moved thousands of troops to within a few miles of the Lithuanian border, and the entire military of Belarus is now on combat alert. And Lukashenko visited his troops. Lukashenko is the leader of Belarus. He visited his troops on the border of Lithuania like 2 weeks ago. And he told them that they're going to have to go into the Baltics. They're going to have to go into Lithuania. This is very serious, guys. Okay, looks like Belarus is going to make a move on Lithuania or possibly Poland. We have S-400 launchers by the dozens that have been set up in Belarus, just 2 miles from the Polish border. So something is brewing over here in Belarus, guys. We have to keep an eye on it. And Russia massively attacked Ukraine's energy infrastructure late last night. Dozens of drones and missiles unleashed on the cities of Kharkiv, Kyiv, Zaporizhia, and Lviv caused massive destruction. And what you're looking at here is video footage from a thermal power plant that was hit by some type of a missile. And this thermal power plant is located in Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. It's called the Tripilska Thermal Power Station. It's the largest power plant in the Kyiv region and one of the largest in Ukraine. Apparently, Russia struck a number of thermal power plants in Lviv, Kharkiv, and Ivano-Frankivsk, which is in the Carpathians. Also, the Zaporizhia region was hit, and also Odessa as well. There were some energy facilities there and also in Zaporizhia that were hit. There were also kabooms reported in Rivne, Mykolaiv, Kherson, Cherkasy, Khmelnytsky, Dnipropetrovsk, and Chernivtsi. So they hit basically all the main cities in Ukraine with missiles and drones. 80% of Ukraine's thermal power supply has been disabled, according to the CEO of Ukrainian power company DTEK, Maxim Timchenko. He said just 2 or 3 more attacks from Russia on Ukrainian power stations, and there will be nothing left to restore. Wow. Very, very interesting. There was also a massive attack on the city of Lviv, which is a former Polish city. It's literally just a few miles from Poland, and Russia launched half a dozen or more hypersonic missiles at Lviv from 3 different directions to try to destroy some kind of important energy infrastructure object. Apparently, they hit a gas distribution facility and a substation, but all of this happening just a few miles from the Polish border. Polish F-16s were scrambled. They always scramble them now to shoot down any missiles that may stray into Poland. But the fact that Russia is launching their hypersonic missiles so close to the Polish border, NATO borders, okay, is very, very serious. One of these hypersonic missiles could stray into Poland, and they have huge warheads. If one of those hypersonic missiles were to stray into Poland and hit Poland, that would be very, very serious, okay? Because they have 1,000-pound warheads, guys. These are not little cruise missiles. They do a lot of damage, okay? And they're ballistic missiles. Hypersonic missiles are basically ballistic missiles, so they're not super accurate like cruise missiles are. And we also had massive reconnaissance over the Baltics yesterday. Look at this, guys. We had 5 reconnaissance planes operated by NATO over the Baltic region. Here we have 3 that were flying over Estonia and 2 over southeastern Finland. I've never seen this before, guys. We had a NATO AWACS plane, an Italian AWACS plane. There was also an Estonian reconnaissance plane flying over here. And then we had a US reconnaissance plane and a Swedish reconnaissance plane in Finland. Absolutely crazy. And last night, we also had some interesting activity over Poland. There was a Polish F-16 that flew in a straight line directly towards Ukraine and Belarus, and then it stopped near the city of Lublin and turned around, did a complete 180, and then went back and landed where it came from, almost as if it was scrambled to intercept something, because it flew in a perfect straight line towards the tri-border region of Belarus, Ukraine, and Poland, and then it turned around and came back. We also had this interesting German Air Force plane with the call sign Dragon 51, and it had no information about it, and it was looping over central Poland all night long, and it was getting aerially refueled by a German aerial refueler. So very interesting. I don't know what that could be, but call sign was Dragon 51. It had no information about it at all, either the type of plane, the registration, nothing. So some kind of clandestine plane here flying over central Poland. Okay, you can see it looping here. Very interesting. And I want to remind you guys that 2 days ago, there were 2 German planes with the call signs Bomber 33 and Bomber 34 that flew directly towards the tri-border region of Belarus, Ukraine, and Poland. So I don't know if this was a practice bombing run by the Germans, but this is very, very concerning, because we do know that Belarus has a lot of military equipment here in this area where these bombers flew towards. There's also a lot of Russian troops there, tens of thousands of Russian troops there, S-400 systems, heavy artillery regiments, Iskander missile systems. So for all we know, these could have been maybe German F-16s or German F-35s, and they were practicing a bombing run with B-61 gravity nuclear bombs on this area of Belarus here, southwestern Belarus, near the city of Brześć, which is a former Polish city. It was stolen from Poland by Stalin after World War II, and it was incorporated into the Belarusian SSR. But Western Belarus is basically Polish territory, and there's a lot of Polish people that are in Western Belarus because they used to live there during the World War II period and shortly after, and they have been persecuted by the Lukashenko government. And here we have some more reconnaissance planes in Northern Europe. We had a sub-Hunter plane operated by the U.S., and it was flying off the coast of Russia's Northern Fleet base in Murmansk. Very concerning for the U.S. to have a sub-Hunter up there. This is where Russia has most of their nuclear-armed submarines. There's also a Swedish reconnaissance plane here that was flying along the Finnish-Russian border. And then we also had some VIPs fly from Poland and Ramstein Air Base into Lithuania and the Baltics. Look at this, guys. We had this U.S. Army Chinook helicopter fly from northeast Poland into Kaunas, Lithuania. There's a major NATO base in Kaunas. That's where most of the NATO forces stationed in Lithuania are located. They're located in Kaunas. And then we had some of these Lear jets here flying into Vilnius. And then earlier today, we had this Polish presidential Doomsday plane fly from the capital of Lithuania to Warsaw, the capital of Poland. So probably either the Polish president or maybe the Polish prime minister on this plane. And it was in Vilnius. So probably the Polish president flew to the capital to meet with the Lithuanian president because there's an imminent invasion about to take place here. Belarus and Russia are about to invade Lithuania, okay? And yesterday we had also massive reconnaissance here over the Baltics. We had this German reconnaissance plane fly all around the Baltic countries. This is crazy, guys. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be monitoring the situation with Iran and Israel. So get prepared, guys. Make sure you have a nuclear war survival plan. Make sure you have your bug out bags packed and ready to go. And until later, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a massive 30% discount on their 1-week emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you got to use the link in the description below this video, which is preparedness.com. The normal price for their 1-week freeze-dried emergency food supply is $80. They're knocking it down to $50 for 1 week of emergency food with a 25-year shelf life, and it's all packed into a small lockable ammo can with a waterproof gasket. They also have a general store, and to get to their general store, you just got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. And their general store has everything you can imagine prepping and survival related, and they're always doing discounts. So check it out. Use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get over 35% off of the My Patriot Supply 1-week emergency food supply, and also to get access to their general store. And they're always doing discounts there. I'll leave the link in the description below this video.